Heavenly Father, sanctify us by your truth. Your word is truth. May it shape our hearts, guide our steps, and keep us steadfast in the faith. Amen. All right, well, welcome to the first Learn to Read and Write Greek class at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. I'm excited about this. I was hoping for 6 to 8 people, not 68, but 6 to 8 people, and we ended up with over 30 here. So not everybody's here this week. Some will be joining us next week, and we'll be recording this. Now, I do need to mention, because of Vacation Bible School, I really wasn't worried about meeting. I thought we'd just grab a classroom downstairs, but because of the size, we had to meet it here. After this week, we'll be meeting in the fellowship hall with tables. A little bit easier context in there with tables to put your books out and so forth, but this will do, okay? So, why are we here? Let me just kind of make sure we're all on the same page. I wrote this up here earlier just to make sure I kind of hit this. It says, welcome to Koine Greek class. This is not a seminary course or an intense academic lecture, okay? This is what's called this way, a working man's class, working woman's class, okay? We're here to build a practical, hands-on knowledge of the Greek New Testament using simple tools such as your interlinear Bible that you have, I'll explain that in a moment, as well as Bible software, okay? There's some really, really fantastic Bible software called eSword. It's free online, and you have these modules that you will download, and we're going to use those resources with your iPhone or your computer at home or your tablet with your Greek New Testament, and you will be able to maneuver through the Greek really quickly by the time we're done at the end of the summer, okay? That make sense? And so by the end of the summer, you'll be able to read and write and understand Koine Greek with the help of these tools. You'll be able to do this confidently and to understand the language of Greek in its original context and the original language, okay? I know some of you have said, I don't think I can do this. Trust me, you can, okay? You're looking at a guy here who almost flunked out of, well, I had a D- American literature. I cheated my way through vocab when I was in junior high. I thought to myself, I never need to know this English language. I'm going to be finance and economics. End up going to seminary, and my first class is Greek. I had no idea what a direct object was, how verbs work. So if I can learn it, guess what? You can learn it as well. Okay? So if I can learn it, you can learn it as well. When it comes to Greek, we want to understand that classical Greek, the classical Greek of Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates, that Greek is classical. That starts 500 BC to about 3 to 350 BC. So when we think of Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates, they were writing in what was called classical Greek. Okay? Then something profound happened. Okay? Right around 300 BC, there's a guy named Alexander the Great. You've heard of him, he's pretty great, right? And Alexander the Great, he started to conquer all this land area. And as he conquered and as his kingdom expanded, what expanded with him? The Greek language. And that Greek language that expanded went with him, and that language became the language of the people who were in influence and power. So the Greek language went all the way down, for instance, down to Egypt. The Greek of Alexander the Great was what we call, it is what we call Koine Greek. Koine means common. And it was much more simple. So the way to think about it, the way I think of it is this. Classical Greek is like Shakespearean English. Does that make sense? Shakespearean English, which is going to have the these and the thous and the thines, right? And so we think of kind of the King James Bible, that era. And so when you hear that, it's very sophisticated, very more complex than how we're saying things today. And then our modern English that we have is just kind of, you know, it's kind of rough, it's raw, it's more simple. So Shakespearean English is equivalent to classical Greek. Koine Greek is equivalent to modern English. Does that make sense? So it went from classical Greek during the time of Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates, and then it went to what we call Koine Greek, 300 BC to 300 AD. And then after that, it kind of morphed into what we call Byzantine Greek. Byzantine Greek tended to be kind of reaching back to the old school classical, trying to reclaim it. I'm kind of imagining maybe somebody came along and said, you know, we should get back to the old ways, and they're trying to pull this old classical Greek and trying to reintroduce it during the Byzantine time. And that goes from 300 AD to about 1500. 1453, 1500. 1453 was when Constantinople fell, so that's kind of the date we use, well, 1500, okay? And then from 1500 on, we have what was called the modern Greek, okay? So Greek went from the area of Greece, classical, it expanded thousands of miles far and wide with Koine, and then kind of morphed into Byzantine, and then after that, it kind of contracted back to modern Greek, more in the area of Greece itself. Does that make sense? So we're essentially studying what? A dead language, okay? So what we're going to do to get us started is we need to start with the alphabet. So if you have your sheet, this sheet, lesson 1, I'd like you to grab a hymnal if you can and a pen. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the letters of the alphabet. And this is going to be a little bit more interactive, and I'm going to be repeating myself a lot. I found that to learn something, you have to do it repetitive over and over and over and over. So we'll be doing a lot of repetition here, and that's the idea of that muscle memory, kind of grinding that into our minds, okay? So we're going to start with the Greek alphabet, and I'm going to have you take your pen, and as I go through these letters, I'm going to say the letter. You're going to say it back to me out loud, and as you're saying it back to me out loud, you're going to trace it. You see what's happening there? So I'll say alpha, and then you'll say alpha together. And as you're saying it, you're tracing it. So you have multiple things going on. You're hearing me say it. You're saying it. So you hear it with your ear, you're saying it with your mouth, and then you're what? Tracing it with your hand and seeing it with your eyes. We get all the senses involved. Does that make sense? So when I say the letter, we're going to what? Repeat it and trace it. And every time I say the letter, you're going to trace it. There's some arrows on here with the letters, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and it kind of helps you trace it to show you the way to write it. Okay, so we're going to start in the top left. It looks kind of like a fish, right? It's an alpha, okay? So let's practice this together. Okay, everybody have a pen, have your sheet, okay? And a hymnal or your book. All right, we'll practice this. I'm going to say the letter, you repeat it, and as you repeat it, you trace it. Alpha. Okay, and I'm going to say it again. And every time you say it, every time you repeat it, you trace it. So we're going to trace multiple times on here. Alpha. 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 Perfect. Beta. 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 Yeah, so far so good. Right? Alphabet. Where do we get the word the name alphabet from? Alpha, beta, right? Boom, there we go. Alpha, beta. Okay, first two letters. So far so good. We're like A and B. Now they throw us a curve. Okay? This one is called gamma. Okay, ready? Gamma. 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 Perfect. The next one, what does that look like? It's kind of like a D, so we're hugging close to the English language. This is called delta. Okay, ready? Delta. 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 One more time. Delta. Okay? Next one. So far, so good. Epsilon. 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 Okay? Here we go. Alpha. Alpha. Beta. Beta. Gamma. Gamma. Delta. Delta. Epsilon. Epsilon. Great job. Okay, next one. This was kind of fancy. This is always kind of fun to write here. This one is called zeta. 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 Okay. Good job. So far, so good? Yes. Next one is eta. 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 Next one. Theta. 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 Okay, let's go back. Epsilon. Epsilon. Zeta. Zeta. Theta. Theta. Okay. Next one is going to be iota. Now, okay, you've heard this before, stated iota, right? Iota. The way we're going to pronounce it is iota with an E sound. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit later on pronunciation. So if you say iota, you know what we mean. Iota is kind of the word E sound to it. So I was taught more E sound, like E, instead of I. Iota. Iota. Okay, next one. Kappa. 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 Okay, theta. Iota. Kappa. Lambda. Lambda. I like that. That's a cool looking letter. Isn't that cool? I like that. I like that letter a lot. It's just a cool looking letter. Lambda. Lambda. Okay, this is kind of a fun section right here. Mu. Mu. Nu. Yeah, so the mu looks like a U, and the V is like an N sound, right? So mu nu. Lambda mu nu. Let's try that. Lambda. Mu. Nu. Yes, pause. Let's just get a little bit of break there. So far, so good? Nobody's quit yet? All right. Kind of neat, huh? You're already doing it. It's great. Let's keep it up. Okay, this one is kind of a, this one I kind of don't like. Okay, ready for this one? Xi. Xi. It's like a K-S-E-E. Xi. And the way I remember Kasi is it kind of, if you look at it, it's just kind of like Kasi, right? It's just kind of all over the place, right? So that's the one I always struggled with when I was in seminary. I was like, Xi. And I just kind of realized that's one I don't like saying it, and I don't like the way it looks. Okay? Xi. All right. Now, next one here. This is Omicron. Omicron. Where do these sound familiar from? Anybody? COVID-19. Yeah, COVID-19, right? The different COVID strains, Omicron strain. They were using what? The Greek alphabet. Okay. Omicron. Omicron. Okay, next one you should know. You've seen this before. 3.14 pi. Yep, 3.14 pi. Yep, so that's pi. You know that from math. You think way back to math days, 3.14. That's all I got, 3.14. The next one now, this is frustrating because you have pi, and then right next to you have a letter that looks like what? A P sound, but it's actually not. It's rho. Okay, so Xi, Omicron, pi, rho. Now the next one is 2, okay? So let me explain this. This is sigma, okay? Now this is, every time I say the word sigma, my kids laugh, and I don't quite get the cultural reference, so you guys have to explain it to me later. And I guess that's apparently if you're a sigma, that's not good. So the word sigma, the letter sigma, it's like an S, it's the S sound. When it's in the middle of the letter, it looks like that first one, but when it's at the end of the sentence, it's in the bracket there. See the end of the bracket there? When it's at the end of a sentence, it is in that bracket. But if it's in the middle of the sentence, it's what? Almost like that, almost like an O there, with a little loop on top. So let's try sigma. 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 Next one, tau. Tau. Next one, upsilon. Upsilon. Okay? So pi. Rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, Okay, 2 more to go. Last one. Psi. And last one, omega. If you look here at St. Paul's, we have on the altar, we have an alpha and omega. Up on the banner, we have alpha, omega. And then those bronze things holding statues is alpha, omega. It's the beginning of the alphabet, and so when Jesus says the alpha and omega, it's the what? Beginning and the end, and everything in between. Right? Pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about pronunciation now. Now it's kind of nice. We've done a lot of these letters, and the pronunciation is going to be fairly similar. So we're going to work on the pronunciation real quickly. I'm going to say the letter, then I'm going to make the sound of the letter, and then I'm going to say the letter, and I'm going to have us make the sound together, okay? So let me give you the first one, alpha. Now, you can see with alpha, there's a long or short way of pronunciation. For the sake of this class this summer, we're going to do the short pronunciation, and that's the most common, okay? So we're going to do just the short. We're not going to worry about the long, okay? That's too much for us to worry about. So when I say alpha, it's going to be like bat, So alpha, 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 alpha. Pretty simple, right? Beta, ball. Okay, so beta, 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 beta. Perfect. Now gamma is going to be like gift, good. Gamma, good. Gamma, good. Gamma. Good. Delta like in dog, right? Delta. Good. Delta. Good. Epsilon is going to be like bet, So epsilon, epsilon, epsilon. Zeta, here's zeta. Zeta is kind of interesting. It has a D and a Z. So zeta is going to be z. You start with a D, like you're going to say duh, but then you just kind of like rob it with a Z. So you sit here and you're going to commit to a D, and then also like, no, I just decided to go with a Z. Okay? So zeta is going to be z. Ready? Zeta? Zeta. Yeah. So you start with a D, and then you're like, nope, zeta's moving and taking over. Okay? A Z is taking over, okay? Okay, now eta is going to be like the Canadian A. You know how Canadians say A? So the way I remember this is when I write the eta, I'm always like, A. Okay, that's just in my mind. You play these games, right? So you write the eta, it's like an N. So I was like, A. So I just kind of you have to play these games in your head to remember. So eta is going to be A. Eta. Eta. Okay? Theta is going to be, now we take a T and an H, we put them together, but they have one letter for that, that's a theta. So if you've heard the word theology, that comes from the word theos, which theos means God. So it begins with a theta. So theta is, okay? Theta. Theta. It's kind of hard to say just by itself, right? It'll come when you add the other vowels to it, okay? Now, iota. Iota is called a uniform high front vowel. You're going to have some different pronunciations of this. The way that I learned to pronounce it was the sound E. Okay, so my professors told me to pronounce it like E, like machine, E. Okay? So iota is going to be E. Iota. E. Iota. E. Iota. E. Kappa is going to be like kin. Kappa. 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 Lambda. Yeah. It's tough to say. Like I said, some of these consonants are tough to say when you don't have a vowel to go with it. You know what I mean? So lambda is going to be the L sound. Mu. Ma. It's like the right? And the nu is just going to be n. The knights who say nia, right? N. It's a Monty Python reference. Nobody got that. So, all right. Xi is going to be like wax, right? We do the same thing with the X, right? With wax, we throw an S on there. So Xi is going to be wax. Okay. Now Omicron, this one always frustrated me. Is Omicron? I wanted to say it like O, but the way I was taught it was Omicron's going to be ah sound. Omicron's going to be ah. Okay, ah. Almost like father, right? It's gonna be like the long form of alpha. But I was told like Omicron like omelet. I always remember omelet, Omicron, And so like the word logos, you'll hear me people say logos, and the way that I was taught was logos. So that O is an O, it's A. So it's not logos, it's logos. Is the way that I was taught. Pi. Row. Yeah, row your boat, right? Sigma, tau, upsilon. Now, we're going to go with the short pronunciation on this. This is the most frequent. Put, upsilon is going to be like right? So upsilon, Okay? Phi. Now the phi is going to have a P and H together, like physics. It's going to be kind of an F sound. We notice we haven't had F yet. We just kind of jumped over F. Well, we pick up an F with a phi. Okay? Phi. Phi. Chi. Now pi and kappa are so very similar. Chi is going to be like kappa's k. Okay? And to be very honest with you, like I guess when I say chi and I say kappa, I don't hear a difference. And when I pronounce it, I'm sure they're so close. So I'm not, if somebody says chi and it sounds like a kappa, you're not going to be what, stoned or anything like that. So it's just more of a K sound. Okay? Psi, that one's kind of a pest there too. It's got that P and S, it taps. So you got psi and which was the other one here with wax? Yeah, xi and psi. Those are kind of tough to learn. Those are really different for us. And omega is just omega be O, gold, O. Okay. When the letter gamma appears before the letters kappa, chi, or gamma, it is pronounced with an N. So if you see the word angelos, right, is how you would think you would pronounce it. That means angel. It's not, it's pronounced angelos with an N. Angelos, not agelos. So if you have two G sounds, right, two gammas together, the first G goes to an N sound. Okay? That makes sense? It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense, right? That's the rule. Okay? So, yeah, so they're borrowing from English on that, right? We have so many goofy rules like that in English language. We'll work on that. So when it comes across, we'll forget it. I forget from time to time, and I've been doing this a long time. So these are just a couple etiquettes. Now, this next one though, is actually quite important. It's called the breathing mark. There's going to be a little bit of an apostrophe, right? And when you see the apostrophe, I'm going to face this way. So we have a letter X, this thing here. If you have an apostrophe before the vowel, and if it's like slanted inward towards the word, then you're going to give a breathing mark. So the way that I've always understood this is, and I wish I had my board here to draw it out. We'll draw it out next week. But if you have that word, and you have that little apostrophe that bends into the word, you're leaning H sound into the word. But if the apostrophe is what aimed outward, think of it being like a dam. It doesn't allow the to come. That makes sense? So if you look at the word right here, the first one says, okay, so this is what we call a rough versus smooth breathing mark. So if you look at that word, what do we have there? We have that word there. So can anybody, what are those letters? Say those letters for me. Epsilon, lambda, omega. You see that little apostrophe? It's kind of facing out. It would just be elo, because we can't. It doesn't want the breathing to continue. But if you look at the next one there, how would we say that? Hello, with an H sound. That make sense? So if that apostrophe is kind of like leaning out and it doesn't allow the breath to go over it. But if it's curved over the word, just think of the air coming towards the word and it flows over the word with a h sound. Make sense? Okay? Let's have some fun, okay? We're going to sound out the following words. I took these Greek words. These are not Greek words. These are English words. And I tried to put some English, well, they're English words, but I tried to put them in Greek for fun, okay? So let's look at the very first one on the top left. It starts with the beta. I'm going to give you a few seconds to look at it. And then I'm going to say go, and I want you to say it out loud. And I want you to commit to it, okay? So if you're off, don't worry about it. We can laugh at it together. So I'm going to ask you to commit to it and say it nice and loud, and we'll see how close we are, okay? We can get a good laugh on it, okay? So the first one is the beta, alpha, lambda, okay? So let's just think of I'll look at our alphabet chart that we have there, the pronunciation. And I'm going to ask you to write down, count 3 to say. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ball. Ball, yeah, ball. Okay? Now again, that's not a Greek word. I'm just taking English words to see if we can kind of match it up. Let's go down to the chi, alpha, tau. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Cat. Yeah. Okay. Make sense? Okay. Let's go down one more with a kappa. Starts with the kappa, alpha, pi. Take a few seconds, think that through. 1, 2, 3, go. Count. Yep. All right, let's commit. Nice and loud, okay? Next one, bottom left corner. Delta, alpha, delta. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dad. Yep, there you go. Okay, let's go to the next column there. It starts with the pi. Epsilon, pi, sigma, iota. So take a few seconds. And we'll try to get as close as we can to the English word there. Hopefully you should be able to see an English word there. Let's commit to this. 1, 2, 3. Pepsi, yeah. Pepsi. See, you're sounding it out, right? It's not that hard, right? You got this. Okay. Oh, this next one looks a little more difficult. What do we have there? Okay. We have a phi. We have an alpha. And what's that next one there? A mu, iota, lambda, iota. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Family, yeah. All right. Next one is a beta, alpha, pi, tau, iota, sigma, tau. All right. What do we think there? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Baptist, yeah. Okay. Next one, we have a mu, omicron, mu, iota. What will we say there? 1, 2, 3, go. Mommy, yeah. Kids getting it? Okay. Abby, you getting this? You got it. Yeah, you got this. Okay, next one. Sigma, tau, omicron, pi. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Stop. Let's go down one. Sigma, tau, epsilon, pi. 1, 2, 3, go. Step. Down. We have a delta. We have, what's that one? Rho. Omicron, pi. 1, 2, 3, go. Drop. Okay, go down one more. That's a nu, omega, rho, theta. What would you say there? North. Go right across from it. Delta, alpha, kappa, omega, delta, alpha. North Dakota. There you go. Okay, let's go to the very top with that beta, omicron, tau, nu, omega. 1, 2, 3, go. Bottom. Yeah. Go down. Theta, rho, omega. 1, 2, 3. Throw. Go down one. Now, oh boy, we have that apostrophe. Which way is it going? Leading in. So we're going to have what? An H sound. So h, then alpha, mu, rho. What would you say there? Hammer. Yeah. There you go. Okay, go to the very top. 2 words. Epsilon, lambda, omicron, nu, space, mu, upsilon, sigma, chi. What would you say that one? 1, 2, 3, go. Elon Musk. Yeah. Go down. We have that apostrophe, so that would be what? H sound or no H sound? H sound. Yep. So what is that word? Hello. Go down one. Pi. Okay. Epsilon. Nu. Pen. Yeah. Pen. Yep. Okay. Next one. What do we have there? We have a phi, alpha, rho, gamma, omega. Fargo. Yeah, Fargo. There you go. Top one. Omicron. Excuse me. Alpha, mu, epsilon, rho, epsilon, chi, alpha. 1, 2, 3. Give it a shot. 1, 2, 3. Go. America. Yeah. Okay, don't fail me on this one, you guys. Lambda, epsilon, upsilon, theta, rho, nu. Go. Lutheran, yeah, there you go. Next one, let's say. Oh, I'm not going to say. What do you say the one below? What do you think? 1, 2, 3, go. Lapdog, yeah. All right, this one is a giveaway here. What do you think of that one? Bottom one. 1, 2, 3, go. Donald Trump, yeah. Okay. All right, makes sense? Okay. See, you guys got this. Now, the reason why we have to do this, is when we take a sentence, right? So like on Wednesday, this morning, I had a Greek text where we went through John chapter 3, 1 through 17. And somebody says, okay, verse 3, when we see this word here, weos or theon, then I have to say, okay, well, what do you think about that? So now we can't talk unless we understand what we're referencing. So that's why you have to be able to, like, if somebody says it out loud, look at the word logos, and you're looking at verse 2, and then you have to go through, and you can, oh, there it is right there. So you have to be able to what? Hear it and kind of find it. That's the reason why we're going through on this. Now, I'll be the first to admit that when I will read through Greek, I can read through a lot of Greek, and I can do it average to below average, I'll just be honest with you, compared to other pastors in our district. We have some other pastors that are phenomenal at this. But I can read through it, and I don't always pick up everything I'm reading because I haven't memorized all the vocab. I've lost a lot of vocab. But nonetheless, I can still, when the pastors say, oh, look at this verse and this word, I can find it, and I can use my software to click on it, and oh yeah, that's right, that's what that word means. Now, if you really, really want to be good at this and have a lot of fun with this, you have to start memorizing vocab. That will come this fall. If you want to keep on doing that, we might be doing a class this fall, where we'll be memorizing vocab and doing it kind of on a sight reading aspect. That would be kind of a different level. But for now, we're just learning how to say it and find it. Okay? The next part I'm going to ask you to do for homework says, please write out the following in Greek. So I want you to take your spouse's name. We're not going to do it right now. You take it home and do it. Your spouse's name, your children's names, your favorite movie, and your word of your choice. And I want you to try to pronounce that word. So let's just say the word hockey, or if jiu-jitsu, okay? You guys know I'm in the martial arts, right? So if I want jiu-jitsu, then I have to go try to find out the best Greek letters to help communicate that in the Greek. And what that's doing is that's forcing you to kind of become familiar with the sounds of the letters. Does that make sense? Okay? All right? Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to ask you to, as we close here, we're going to look at John chapter 1. And I'm going to go through and read it slowly, and you can kind of follow along, okay? And this is kind of the, in seminary, at least the seminary that I went to, John 1 through 14 was kind of the standard go-to where you start learning Greek. You'd start with that. And I believe at Fort Wayne in St. Louis they do the same. Is that? Not really? Okay. But for us, we would always start with John chapter 1 through 14. They had us trying to learn that to practice on. Okay? So, did you guys all find John chapter 1? Okay? So, let's look at verse 1. Okay? Verse 1. N, R, K, ain, ha. See that? Ha? It's Omicron, right? It has that mark. So, ha, logos, kai, ha, logos, ain, pros, ton, theon, kai, theos, ain, ha, logos. Let's do it again, okay? Were you able to follow along a little bit? Okay, let's do it again here. N, if you want to say it with me, why don't you say it with me if you want to, okay? Let's start there at verse 1. We're just going real slowly. Just kind of get your eyes, what we're working on is getting your eyes and your ears and the sounds and the sight. We want to try to synthesize these together, right? So you're hearing it, you're seeing it, and you're speaking it. You get all of your senses involved, okay? So let's start verse 1. N, R, K, ain, ha, logos, kai, ha, logos, ain, pros, ton, theon, kai, theos, ein, ha, logos. Let it go. Were you able to follow along a little bit? A little bit? Yeah. If you follow along just a little bit, that's a good sign. I mean, we've only been doing this for 30 minutes. So if you're following along just a little bit, that's awesome for 30 minutes. That is absolutely phenomenal for 30 minutes. That make sense? All right. Okay, let's stand and pray together here. Let's pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week, 7 o'clock to 7:30, okay?